Hey guys, Janet here, aka Gameonysus, and today we are talking about game quality versus price. This is a conversation I see come up a lot in communities, in the industry, people saying things like, well, it's pretty good, but I don't know if it's worth $20 or $40 or $60, and also the inverse, like, oh, it's just okay, maybe pick it up if it's on sale, those kind of things. Today I'm here to talk about why we should be moving away from those conversations in general, and why they're ultimately not that productive and end up kind of being reductive of what games are. The first problem with judging games and whether or not people should be buying or playing them based on the price against the quality of the game is that I don't know what's expensive for you. It's really hard to say, like, pick this game up because even though it's not that good, it's cheap, when I don't know what cheap is for you. I've had times where $20 isn't a lot of money. I've had times where $20 is a lot of money. And this isn't to say that we shouldn't make lists or have conversations about, cheap games or gaming on a budget, because, generally speaking, we can kind of, in the context of those videos or articles or tweets, we can define what that budget is and kind of let people seek out that information. But just generally when we're talking, it's kind of awkward to be like, oh, it's only $40 when $40 could be a lot of money for somebody. So that's the first problem with it. It's just kind of hard to tell, like, what exactly is cheap and what isn't cheap for anyone, and you're not going to be able to really catch everyone in that regardless. So from the start, we kind of already have a big problem with judging games and recommending or not recommending games based on their price. The other thing is, at the end of the day, is the game good or is the game not good? It doesn't really help me as a consumer. Like, I don't feel like it helps me to think about, not buying a game because it's great, but it's only 2 hours, so, I'm not going to bother with it. Or, it's not that good, but if it's on sale, let me buy it. Too often we end up judging games or giving games too much credit based on their price. Like, I've talked to people about games I don't like, games I don't think are very good at all, and I've had people say, well, what if it's on sale? Or what if I can get it really cheap? Or, how cheap would it have to be for you to recommend it? And I'm like, I don't recommend it because it's not good. Like, if the game isn't good, it doesn't matter if it's $0 or $50. Like, at the end of the day, I don't think the game is worth people's attention, and I don't recommend it at any price. And of course, there are times where I'm more willing to buy a game if it's cheaper, or take a risk on a game if it's cheaper. So, I think there's a place to have a mention of the price or a mention of the game hours, because everyone looks for something different out of their game experiences. But I don't think it makes sense for me as someone talking to people about games to say, you know what, this isn't that good, but hey, it's only $15. Because once again, I don't even know if that's cheap for you. And two, it doesn't make the game any better. I've never enjoyed a game more because it was cheaper, or enjoyed a game less because it was expensive. At the end of the day, I am liking or not liking a game, period. I don't dislike it or like it more based on its price. Sometimes if the game is bad and I paid a lot of money for it, I'm like, that sucked because I spent $20 and this game was crappy. But other than that, like, there's not any way where, like, this sale will be like, you know what, I didn't have that much fun, but at $15 I had a bunch of fun. Like, that just doesn't really happen. So it doesn't make sense to say, like, get this game when it's cheap, or get it because, or don't get it because it's too expensive for what it is. If what it is good, then that's all you have to say. Just recommend the game and move on. Lastly, it's just very reductive to contextualize games based on their price. I know at the end of the day, these are products, these are things people consume, and we all have different things we want out of our gaming experiences in terms of maybe play hours or something like that, or a certain level of gameplay or a certain genre. We all have our own tastes and preferences that dictate how we spend money on games. Like, I know people that won't buy indie games if they're over $20. Like, we all have these little, like, internal rules, but at the end of the day, it's really weird to also frame things as like, oh, I don't want to pay this much because it isn't that many hours of gameplay. It just kind of becomes, like, weirdly, like, what is this even kind of based on? And I can understand the impulse, because if you spend a lot of money, I think people want to get more than, like, a 2-hour indie experience is what people tend to kind of bring it back to. But at the end of the day, once again, is it good? Is it not good? If you can't afford it, then that's fine. But I think it's weird to kind of discourage people from purchasing it just because you get, like, less hours out of it. Once again, other media isn't like that, so it's weird that we try to make games like that. And I feel like, once again, it's reductive to the art that is games. just because a book is short, I'm not like, this book should be cheaper because there's less pages in it. One thing I want to address too, there is a little bit of an exception to this when it comes to DLC and microtransactions. And it's not so much that like suddenly the game isn't worth it because it has microtransactions, but I think there's a conversation to be had regarding how games should and do approach microtransactions in DLC, especially when they're AAA games. So a lot of the conversations around the recent Call of Duty have been the fact that it's kind of trying to do this games as a service model, but within the constructs of a AAA game. Call of Duty has the Battle Royale mode. So there's a conversation to be had there, only because now we're kind of adding in extra elements of transactions taking place, and this whole idea of what's included in the game, what's not, am I being nickel and dimed for every little thing, versus like when a game is free and it has microtransactions in it. That's kind of a different setup. So I think in that case, it's not necessarily, oh, you shouldn't buy Call of Duty because it has microtransactions or because it still has microtransactions despite being a $60 game. It's more of a conversation surrounding, does the progression system make sense? Does the way it implements these systems, these in-game like microtransaction systems, make sense? The DLC microtransaction season pass conversation is a different one than, I think, you know, this game is $40 but it's only 2 hours, or this game is honestly like a 5 or a 6, but if it's on sale suddenly I'm kind of recommending it. Like that just gets kind of muddy and weird. So that's what I think of the game quality versus money debate. I've seen this conversation happen all the time. It will continue to happen, and I have to admit I didn't always have this position, but the more I think about what it really means to recommend a game or to enjoy a game, the more I realize that we really need to take and elevate our conversations above, is this worth however many dollars, because it's not really a valuable conversation to have for consumers, even if it feels like it might be, based on the issues I've kind of identified in the beginning of this video. So let me know in the comments below what you guys think. How does money factor in? Once again, I'm not judging you if money does factor into you buying games. It certainly is the case for me. I'm gaming on a budget. I just think in terms of talking about the quality of the game, it's a separate conversation. So let me know in the comments below what you guys are thinking. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, tap the bell, and I will see you guys here next time.